Welcome and thank you for joining us this evening. We really appreciate you joining us for this our first webinar on our virtual cruise webinar. Uh, we are David and Jennifer Geddings with Dapper Dreams Travel. But one of our goals we set for ourselves for the new year was to start doing a quarterly travel tips uh, webinar for people just to a lot of people don't travel a lot, so we wanted to do a webinar to show people things that are out there beyond just cruises or going to Gatlinburg
Or Disney.
or Disney. And for the most part, why we chose river cruising first is we is new to us. It has been new to us this year, and we've learned more about it this year. And jumping in head first in 2026. So we figured we'd start with this one as our first webinar because not many people know about river cruising, but it's completely different than ocean cruising. Once you get on board, you don't have to pay for much of anything. Everything's included. Even beforehand, like when you do an ocean cruise, you have to pay for excursions up front and possibly secure dining reservations at specialty restaurants. You don't have to do that river cruising. Your dining's included, your excursions included, your drinks and beverages are included, all your meals are included. So it comes at a heftier price tag, but you get a lot more for it and you paying for it up front. Whereas if you really do the math after you get back from an ocean cruise, you're probably getting close to what a river cruise might pay for. So this is us, David and Jennifer Geddings. We've been travel advisors almost 6 years now. Our specialties are Disney vacations anywhere in the world, mostly Walt Disney World, and Disney cruises are our priorities. But we do a lot of ocean cruises. We're starting to get more and more river cruising, and then sandals and beaches are our specialty when it comes to all-inclusive resorts. Why we wanted to discuss river cruising. Most people have done ocean cruises, but aren't familiar with the river cruising concept. They're more inclusive, as I mentioned, mostly all inclusive, just like down in the Caribbean. Like if you were to go to a sandals resort, once you step on property, you pretty much don't have to pull your wallet out of the safe the whole time you're there.
So tonight we're going to focus our discussion on four main topics. So we're going to talk about what makes river cruising unique. So the differences between river cruising versus ocean cruising, and also compare that to land travel. We're going to talk about some of the most memorable themed itineraries that are available for people who want to sail on a river cruise. And then we're going to give you guys some insider planning tips.
So to dive in, let's see why river cruising is so different than ocean cruising. So when you think of a cruise, we all mostly think of ocean cruising. We've probably all been on at least one cruise, Carnival, Royal, something of that nature. So we're very familiar with the concept. You got very large vessels, lots of people, Broadway shows, a casino, and then a buffet that goes on and on forever. You don't see that on a river cruise, where a vessel, a large ocean view vessel, will take you from port to port. What they say with river cruising is that you're not sailing around the region, you're sailing through it. It really gets you right into the heart of the town and helps you see what it is. 90% of river cruising does obviously take place in Europe. There is some in Africa and Portugal and other areas, but the key focus mostly is in Europe. Many of the rivers that actually help form and keep Europe thriving, like the Rhine River, the Danube, the Seine, the Douro, and many others. These aren't just random waterways they pick. They are the ones that actually help create major trade routes for Europe and to what it is today. This means that every port is right in the heart of the city. So, like with a ocean cruise, you'll come to the biggest port that'll handle the large vessels. Whereas with a river cruise, as you see on the screen, some of the different ships that are there, they're quite small and narrow and nimble, so they can get into any tight rivers and waterways and bring us right straight to the town itself. In fact, when we talk about the day to day of a river cruise, you'll have breakfast on the ship, jump off, go do an excursion, then come back to the ship, have some lunch, and then go out and do another adventure next in the afternoon.
So for river cruising, like we mentioned, the scale is going to be smaller. So that means that the service that you get is going to be much more personal. You're going to be able to meet lots of other guests that are on board with you and have a lot of time to really socialize with them if you want to. If you don't want to, obviously you don't have to. These ships are usually holding around 150 guests, sometimes fewer than that. And so you're not going to be dealing with huge crowds. You're not going to have the experience of, if you've ever been on an ocean cruise and you've had to take tender boats to get off at your port because the dock couldn't support the size of the ship. You won't have to experience that. You won't have long lines to wait in when you're getting on and off of the ship. So that's really going to be a different experience from an ocean cruise. The other thing that is a great feature about river cruising is that most of the sailing happens overnight. So every morning you're going to wake up somewhere new without losing a lot of time traveling from place to place during the day when you want to be off the boat and you want to be sightseeing. And so it really is a very efficient way to travel, to be able to see multiple countries, but without the hassle of having to pack and unpack, maneuvering the logistics of having to get transportation from one place to another, and navigating in a strange town where you may not speak the language. So it really is a very easy and efficient way to see a lot of Europe without having all of the extra hassle that can go along with traveling. Another point, because these are inland waterways, there's virtually no motion. And so if you are someone who experiences motion sickness or seasickness when you're on an ocean vessel, because these are larger, the sailing is going to be much smoother. You're not dealing with ocean currents and waves and things like that. So it really is a really nice, easy way to travel without having to deal with that aspect of that might affect you on an ocean cruise. So let's talk a little bit about the onboard experience. The river cruise ships themselves, like we mentioned, they are smaller vessels. They are very elegant, and because they have less passengers on board, they tend to be very quiet. As David mentioned earlier, you don't generally see the types of entertainment that you see on an ocean vessel as far as shows. It's going to be a much more relaxed and comfortable trip. And so think of like a boutique hotel on water is kind of what you're going to experience when you go on a river cruise. It's not going to be a massive cruise ship with shops and the hustle and bustle that you would experience there. They really put a lot of emphasis and focus on the dining experience that you'll have on board. The meals often change and the menus change to reflect the region that you're sailing through. So you may have different local wines that are offered if you're sailing through France. You may have goulash on the menu if you are in Hungary, or you may have freshly baked pretzels if you're sailing through Germany. And so you'll expect to see lots of changes in the cuisine that you're offered based on the region that you're in.
So most river cruises, let's talk about the inclusions. We kind of mentioned some in the intro, but most include all of your beers, your wines, your sodas when you're at a meal, be it lunch or dinner. Anytime other than that, you may have to pay for it, but there's always coffee, tea, water, and other spirits that you can get throughout the day that are 24 hours for you. They also include your all your daily excursions, and I'm gonna preface that because there is one of the cruise lines that we'll talk about in a second that only does a morning excursion, and then if you want to do another excursion in the afternoon, they particularly charge you for it. But for the most part, any excursions are included in your fare throughout the cruise, and that's one to two per port as you go through the trip. It also includes your Wi-Fi. And as you're seeing these things, these are things that are upcharges on most of your ocean cruises. So there's not a large upsell environment that's pushing you to buy things and stuff. They make it really hospitable for you. Like Jennifer said, a very boutique-ish hotel environment where you've paid for everything. So you come and go as you please and enjoy the environment. And you get to focus on the destination, not the onboard entertainment and stuff like that.
This is really the part about river cruising that is appealing. It makes it a very relaxing environment, and you can just enjoy the trip. You don't have to worry about how much the things that you want to do are going to be costing you while you're there because you've already paid for the majority of them.
So let's break down some differences between an ocean cruise and a river cruise. We'll make the assumption that many of us already know that right column over there, but we'll highlight it as a comparison point. So for size, when we're thinking about an ocean cruise, there's thousands of people. Even the smallest ocean cruise vessels have several thousand people. If you think about or seen or heard about Royal Caribbean's Icon class with the Icon of the Seas, the Star of the Seas, the Future Legend of the Seas, those have about 7,500 people. That's not counting the crew and show cast and all that. That's just people like you and I on the ship. Whereas with a river cruise, you're looking at 150 to 250 people. As far as port access, we covered this one a little earlier, but with ocean cruising, as you know, the ship can't go but so many places as big as it is. So you're typically further out from the major towns. And once you're in port, then you have to take transfers, buses, taxis to get you to the various sites that you'll want to see. Whereas with a river cruise, you're docked right into town because the river cruise ships have a very small draft on them, so they can go into very tight spaces, very limited water, and get wherever they need to. So your boat, your room, your hotel is sitting right there where you need it when you want to come back. As far as motion, like Jennifer said, with an ocean cruise, obviously there's potential we have to deal with waves. The bigger, newer ships, you don't have to deal with that as much with the onboard stabilizers and stuff that help steady the ship. But if you have rough seas, that is something you could possibly expect. Whereas the rivers in Europe, they're very calm. They're depending on which flow you go of the river, either direction is still going to be smooth, but one way you're going to actually be cruising through and you may not even feel like you're even moving. With entertainment, as you know, with these big ships, we have the big Broadway performances. So they bring in special events and stuff, magicians, other things like that that have starred in Las Vegas, stuff like that. Whereas with a river cruise, they're bringing in locals, be it a pianist, a couple that sings. Whenever we're making a stop in the port, they're picking up whatever the entertainment is going to be for that evening, and then they disembark at the next port and join back in with a new entertainment for that evening for you. So it's much more panned down and a little more relaxing for you. As far as excursions, about 90% of all excursions on an ocean cruise you have to pay for and book up front. So you kind of got to know what you want to do well before your cruise starts. Whereas an a river cruise, they're mostly included. As I mentioned earlier, 1 to 2 per stop are included, and we'll give you a breakdown when we talk about the various cruise lines here in a minute. As far as crowds, obviously, ocean cruise with all those people, there's a lot of people. It's like a resort. You're passing people constantly, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. There's still people out hanging out, partying, doing whatever it is they do at that time of night. Whereas with a river cruise, you only got 150 to 200 people. So by the time you do a 7-night cruise, if you're very social and extrovert, you've probably spoke and met with most of them, be it being at dining, because there's only one dining room on most river cruises. So you're all eating at the same time. Don't have assigned seating, so you can sit with one couple tonight. If you didn't like your conversation with them, you can pick another couple the next night if you want. But it's very intimate. And if you want to, it's like Jennifer said, it's up to you. You can get to know others and maybe learn from them. If they've done 50 river cruises, they might help you decide what the next one is you might want to do and stuff. And then experience with ocean cruises, like the Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Sea, it is the centerpiece of your trip. They try to keep you on board with all the entertainment, the water slides, the water parks, everything that's on the ship. They're trying to keep you on the ship, because if you're on the ship, you're spending money with them. Whereas with a river cruise, it's just your floating hotel. It's not very bougie and all that. It's mainly to get you from port to port through your 7-day sailing to get you to the next port. So it's with river cruising, they're definitely much more destination oriented.
There really is no wrong choice when it comes to ocean cruises versus river cruises. There certainly is a place for both of those, and it really depends on the type of traveler that you are and what experiences you enjoy. If all of those Broadway-like production shows and entertainment is what you love about ocean cruising, then maybe a river cruise is not for you, or maybe you just have to prepare yourself for the fact that it's going to be a different experience than what you're used to on an ocean voyage. So if you like those amenities, you like those sea days, ocean cruises are great for you. But if you really want to immerse yourself in a culture, in a destination, really have more of a one-on-one and personal experience with the region that you're visiting, then a river cruise is really going to deliver that for you. So now that we've compared river cruising and ocean cruising, let's compare it to a land-based trip. So that's another question that we get often is, well, I just want to go to Europe and I want to go to these cities and I want to stay for this many days, but I want to go to these, different places and how can I do that? So river cruising really fills a great spot in between fully independent travel, like you would do on your own, where you stay in a town for a couple days in a hotel and then you move to your next location, and between a guided coach tour. So traditionally with land tours, like I said, you're going to be, staying in a hotel, unpacking, trying to work out logistics of how you're going to get transport from one city to the next. Sometimes that involves a train, a car, a boat, a flight. There can be lots of different ways that you can do that. And you can see a lot, but all of that can be very exhausting. It also takes time away from the sightseeing and the relaxation and enjoyment of the trip itself.
So on a river cruise, as you can see the bullet points on the screen, you only unpack once, where the hotel moves with you, as we mentioned earlier, because it's only your mode of transportation. Its purpose is to get you from port to port and move you along. There's no thrills to it. There's no water slides. There's no big entertainment on board. So it's mainly serving you for your evenings, for sleep, your meals, and just getting you from point to point. This is huge because this is very efficient for you, and it also provides a lot of comfort for you. So you don't have to go out, take a transportation for 2, 3 hours to go uh, do a rock climbing for 2 hours and then ride 2 hours back to get to your ocean vessel. You're right there, so you can go do a couple-hour walking tour through uh, Cologne, Germany, and then come back to the ship, rest a little while, and then go right back out later in the evening. Um, there's no big bus transfers, as I mentioned, or no hotel changes. So, like if you just go over to Europe, say to travel Italy or something like that, the various major cities in Italy are hours apart from each other, as you see on the little globe here. So to go from Rome to Naples, even though it looks pretty close there on the screen, that's a 2 to 3 hour transfer right there, be it by bus, by train, by personal transportation. That's time away from you being able to sightsee because you're sitting on an interstate or something trying to get there and stuff. So it's just wasting time for you. Plus, all the guided tours that are included on the river cruise are locals, so they are telling you their hometown story. They're proud of what they're showing you. So it's actual people that have joined the ship are waiting for you when you arrive to give you the tour of their town, and they're really proud of it. So they're going to put a lot of emphasis and a lot of effort into making sure you're very immersed into the time. Many If you've done an ocean cruise and stuff, typically you have to leave before it even turns dark from most ports. So you're leaving 6, 7 o'clock at night, where on a river cruise, you have late night departures. So for like a Christmas markets river cruise, for example, the best part of Christmas markets is in the evening. So you can see all the twinkling lights and all the stables and all of that in its full display. If you were having to leave at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you wouldn't be able to see that. So you have a lot of late nights in the actual ports, and some ports you will even stay overnight. So you could start touring, say, Amsterdam in the evening, and come back to your hotel, sleep for the evening, and then you can jump back off in the morning after breakfast and go tour Amsterdam some more.
So now we're going to take a look at a typical day aboard a river cruise. So obviously you would be able to have breakfast on the ship before you arrive, or while you're arriving in port and while they're docking the vessel. Here's a tip for you if you've never done river cruising before. A lot of times the ships, there is only one dock in a particular port, and these ships are made to dock side by side, directly against each other. And so if you are the second or the third vessel that's docking in that port, you may even have to walk through those other ships to disembark and to get to the dock to your destination that day. So make sure before you go to bed at night that you close your blinds in your room, because you may be sandwiched up against another vessel when you wake up in the morning, and you may not want to see that. Or you may not want anybody to be able to see into your room either. So make sure that you close those blinds, because the ships do dock parallel to each other a lot of times, and they are very close to each other. Like you could reach out and touch the next ship next to you, which is another difference between ocean cruises and river cruises. So you have been warned. Make sure you close your blinds at night before you come into port the next morning. So after docking in the morning, typically with all of the cruise lines, there is a morning walking tour of the city that is included in your cruise fare. So that is something that it's going to be a minimal activity level. So it's appropriate for most of our guests that would be traveling aboard a river cruise. And it's going to be a slow walking tour, and it's going to give you just a general overview of the town and show you the high points of your destination. So, then after you do that morning walking tour, and again, that's your choice. You don't have to do that walking tour, but it is available to you, and it's a good place to start in the city. After you do that, then you will typically come back on board for lunch. You have time to be able to relax, take a rest, sit out on the sun deck, read a book for a little bit, get something to drink, and then you have time in the afternoon because you're docked for a longer period of time throughout the day. You have time to go back off the ship if you want to walk and explore on your own. If you want to do a second tour in the afternoon, sometimes you can do tours that are more specialized depending on the cruise line that you choose. These may be included. These may be something that would be an extra charge. But some of these can also be more physically demanding. And so you would definitely want to research those and make sure that it's something you feel comfortable doing and participating in. But these might be wine tasting, cycling, museum visits, anything like that. And then you'll be back on board for dinner that night. Usually, again, the menus are going to reflect dishes that are local to that particular region. And so if you are adventurous and you want to try the local food, then that's an option for you. They do also offer more traditional American fare for those that don't feel comfortable, eating foods that they've never tried before. That definitely is something that the cruises are very accommodating with. So after dinner, usually there is some local entertainment, as David mentioned. That is a key feature that's offered on most river cruises, where they have local musicians. Perhaps it's a folk dance group that joins and comes on board. These are going to be very low-key, intimate performances that usually take place in the main hall of the ship, or the main lobby of the ship, where there's seating that's available. And so it's very relaxed. It's not like you have to go and get dressed up to go to a show or to go to dinner or anything like that. It's very comfortable, very low key, and really does just lend itself to being able to just relax and immerse yourself in the culture that you're experiencing. Now we're going to go into talking about some of the themed itineraries that are available on river cruising. These are really interesting because it's just not something that is offered on a lot of ocean vessels. And so there really is something for everyone. These are just really, I think, very exciting, especially the last one that we're going to talk about, because we're going to do that cruise in a year and a half. Yeah. And so 2 years. Yeah, we're really excited about that. So the first couple that we're going to talk about, the first one is they offer wine cruises. So because they're cruising through Europe, wine is certainly something that is very popular there, and might be something that people have not been able to experience from that part of the world. So you're going to be going through top wine regions like the Rhine, Moselle, and Bordeaux in France. You can tour vineyards. You can meet vintners, participate in tastings that are on board the ship. And these really appeal to travelers who want culture, but also with a culinary edge. And so the meals and the activities on board are really going to be focused on wine and how wine is made. And so if that's something that interests you, then this would be a cruise that would be right up your alley. Second theme that we want to talk about are beer cruises. So if we have one for wine, we have to have one for beer as well. These are primarily offered in Germany and Belgium, and feature excursions like visits to breweries and pairing dinners and expert talks from people who brew wine and brew beer. And so it's perfect for people who are craft beer enthusiasts and want something more than just a typical sightseeing trip.
So now that Jennifer's covered all the drinking, let's talk about all the eating. Your next one is your culinary cruises. So this one's really cool because it dives into the local food cultures. One of the excursions may be that the ship's chef takes the excursion out, and you go to a restaurant and he shows you how to make a meal and stuff, and how he would prepare it with the local ingredients and stuff. So you're learning traditional recipes. Usually, after he teaches you how to make it, you get to taste it, but also they have cue cards that get that allow you to take it home. So if you wanted to try it again, if you really liked it, you've got a recipe card with you that you could try again when you get home. The next one is a art and music cruises. As Jennifer said, there, as you see on the screen, there's a lot of different varieties of different types of cruises. So with an art and music cruise, this is for your cultural travelers. So you might visit classic music halls, concert halls. You might visit art museums. You might even have private performances come on board. And then there is, of course, we told you most of the excursions are included. One particular river cruise, actually, you have to pay for this, but you go and take in a evening performance at one of the concert halls.
So the next one is the spring tulip cruises. And if you know me, you know that I love gardening. I love plants. I love flowers. And so this is one of the cruises that is on my bucket list to do one day. These operate in March and April each year in the Netherlands and in Belgium. And so the highlight for these cruises obviously is going to be seeing the gardens. And so visiting different gardens, seeing the gardens along the canals that you'll be sailing through, windmills, the blooming countryside. I can only imagine that it looks just like a postcard as you're sailing through just fields and fields of blooming tulips. So really excited to do that one day.
Another one is for your health conscious travelers is wellness cruises. As you see here, these cruises specifically focus on wellness. So you've got yoga, you've got hiking, you've got biking, and you also have a more healthier menu and itinerary in the dining rooms that features more of the health approach on it.
And then finally, and probably the most popular one, is the Christmas market cruises. These cruises are highly sought after, and they usually book up really quickly each year for the holiday season. These are the crown jewel for holiday travelers wanting to go to Europe. These cruises only sail in late November and December of each year, so there's a limited cruise season for these. And so it's just about 6 weeks that you can travel on one of these cruises. And Europe's towns are transformed into open air Christmas market festivals. And so we're going to visit, when we go in 2027, we're going to visit places like Cologne and Strasbourg and Vienna. At night, everything will be lit with Christmas lights. There'll be music. There'll be mulled wine that you can try at each of the markets, and each market offers its own mug that the mulled wine comes in. And so these are highly sought after collectible items that people look forward to being able to get every year. This is going to be a once in a lifetime experience. It's going to be cozy. It's going to be festive. It's going to be cultural without the chaos that you might have if you were going on a vessel that had thousands of people that would be there with you. We're going to talk about staterooms now. So we have talked about destinations, and so we want to talk about the differences that river cruising offers as far as staterooms. This is another big difference in river cruises and ocean cruises. Cabins on a cruise ship really do impact your trip, and they affect how comfortable you are. They also impact the price that you're paying for your trip. These ships are, because they're so much smaller, they are very efficient in the way that they use space. And so every bit of space really does count. And so there are slight differences in the square footage in these staterooms. But unlike ocean cruises that offer up to 50 different room categories that you can choose from, Generally, there are only 4 different types of room categories, and these might vary just slightly based on the cruise line, but these are the basic ones that you're going to find on most river cruise ships. So those are going to be your suites. You're going to have your full or dual balcony rooms. You're going to have your French balcony or your fixed window. So the first one that we want to look at are the suites. So as you can imagine, the suites are going to be the prime rooms on the ship. They're going to have prime location. They're going to be your largest room, and they're going to offer you the best views on the ship. But on a river cruise, there are usually maybe 5 of these rooms on a particular vessel. So 5 or fewer. So you're not going to have a lot to choose from. And if you have your heart set on a suite, then you need to act fast because those 5 rooms might go quickly. Of course, these are the largest, they're prime location, have the best views. That also means that they're going to come at a premium price. And so, again, if your focus is the destination and the ports that you're sailing through, and you're not planning on spending a lot of time in your room, and extra square footage isn't a priority for you, you may not want to spend the extra money that these suites are going to come with. The next type of room that we want to look at is the full or the dual balcony staterooms. So these have a small step out area, which is a small balcony with enough room for 2 chairs. So you can comfortably sit out on your balcony and watch as you're sailing through the heart of some of these countries that you'll be visiting. Additionally, a lot of them also come with a French balcony design, which is like the little bump out that you see on the screen here, where you have a slider and a railing that you can open and get the open air, but you're still sitting technically inside your stateroom. So, benefits is you can sit out on your balcony very comfortably while you're sailing stretches of the river. The cons are there are not going to be a large number of these rooms on the vessel. And again, you're getting extra square footage here. So the price is going to go up significantly because you are getting the balconies and the extra room.
So the third one takes pretty much splits what Jennifer just described with the dual balcony, and you just get a French balcony room. So if you look at the picture here, you've got a big glass pane window behind the chairs and table. You can actually move those out of the way, open up your blinds, and you can open those sliders and have fresh air. So there's a railing there, so you cannot go out. You can't go over, obviously. So it helps you to be able to take in the environment outside from your room, but you can't actually go out like on an outdoor balcony. So there's no sitting area out there. It provides you, obviously, that natural light as we see here, and it also gives you the fresh air to take in. This is the most popular room on a river cruise. They do have more of these than most any of the other categories, and they also are typically the first category of rooms to sell out on a cruise. For example, our Christmas Market River Cruise in 27, these rooms on the ship were sold out within about 2 weeks of it being released in July. So it is a popular mid-price option, which makes it more lucrative and price conscious for helping travelers make the right category. The last one is your fixed window staterooms. As you see, it is obviously located at the lowest part of the ship. If you see the 2 windows in this picture here, the water line is probably about where the top of those flowers are on that table. So you are your 2/3 of your room is underwater. And so those windows there, if you're shorter than about 5 foot, you're not going to be able to look out and see anything. And when you do look out of those windows, all you're going to see is the surface of the water. They are the most affordable cabins, but they are definitely, if you're paying this much to do a European river cruise, it's really not the best option for you because you're really not going to see anything from your room from the ship without having to go up on the top deck and see it as you're cruising through. because some days, for example, like on the Rhine River, you're going to go through the River Gorge, which has close to 70 castles that you could pass through there. So they do sail on a Rhine. When you sail the Rhine River, you are going to spend a day cruising through the River Gorge. And if you wanted to rest on your bed and take the scenes in from your balcony, you have that option. Where with the fixed window rooms, you don't have that option, unfortunately. It also is somewhat claustrophobic. So if you have a proclivity to that, this might not be an option for you, because there's less light. There's obviously no natural air to get in there and everything. But it does, if it is the price point you have to take to get on one of these river cruises, it does offer all the same service and amenities as your upper level categories. So you still get that top notch butler service as well.
So we often advise clients that the French balcony really is the sweet spot. That's the room that we would say is a good midpoint for most people to start at. But obviously, you have the availability to go up or down in a room category. You'll use the balcony. I feel like, especially sailing through Europe, you'll appreciate the light that it has to offer, and you'll save quite a bit over getting a traditional balcony room. So your fixed windows really make more sense, like David said, if really, cost is a top priority for you. And if you're thinking, you know what, I don't want to be inside when we're sailing through these scenic routes and passing by these castles, I want to be out on the top deck of the ship looking so that I can have a 360 view. And if that really is what you think, that anticipate that you're going to spend your time doing, then that fixed window stateroom might be just perfect for you. So don't let the price dictate what you choose, but also keep in mind that it is, for many people, it is a once in a lifetime trip. And so if you want to really have the full experience, you want to make sure that you're getting something that you're truly going to be happy with.
So when should you think about going on a river cruise if you're doing? Well, the answer is anytime. For spring, you've got your blooms, your mild weather, your favorite cruise that Jennifer wants to do, the Tulip, spring Tulip cruise. The summers, you have the festivals, you have the busy ports, and you have a lot of just longer days in there, so you can spend a lot more. So in the fall, this is the more prime time for most of the river cruises. Real quick, most river cruises do not sail from January to March of each year. That's when they all their ships go into dry storage to get repairs and get prepped for the season. So with the Tulip cruises and the spring cruises, that's when most river cruises start, and then they cruise throughout until after the Christmas markets and after the New Year celebration, they go down. So fall is kind of the harvest season. It's the ideal weather over there for river cruises. And like we mentioned with the wine cruises, this is when most of the vineyard cruises takes place. And then finally with winter, you have the Christmas markets, you have the New Year's celebration cruises, and it's just a cozier environment.
So fall really does tend to be the sweet spot. If you're unsure about when you'd like to travel, fall is definitely a time that we would recommend. Good temperatures, good water levels as far in the rivers, and it's typically not peak season, and so you're going to get a little bit of a price break because it is considered shoulder season for them. We've talked about rooms and we've talked about when to go. We want to talk about our different river cruise partners that we recommend. So we have done a lot of research, done a lot of education in the realm of river cruising. And so there are lots of river cruise companies in Europe that you can choose to travel with, lots of differences in these companies. And so we have partnered with a few of them, verified them as an agency, and considered them to be our preferred partners. And so we've, like I said, completed training with these vendors so that we can figure out whenever you reach out to us and tell us that you would like to do a river cruise, what is going to be the best fit for you and the way that you want to travel. So we have 4 vendors that we consider our preferred partners. We have AmaWaterways, Viking, which most of you have probably heard of, Avalon Waterways, and then Riverside Luxury Cruises. And so we're going to talk just briefly about each one of them and pros and cons to them. Each one brings something new to the or unique to the table, and so we want to definitely explore each one separately.
So why AmaWaterways is our top choice, as the title says, they are our go-to. Not because they're they're giving us anything newer or better or anything. Every one of these vendors we show you are across the board same, but each one offers their own spin on river cruises, and we, as Jennifer said, we with all the training, all the meetings. Meeting with our development managers and stuff, we found that AmaWaterways meets both our standards as well as what we think our clients that we work with would tend to like a lot better. And for AmaWaterways, a couple of the key highlights for them is they offer multiple excursions every day. In each port, there's at least 2 or 3 excursions that you're going to take. There's going to be a calm morning walking tour. There may be an active tour, and then there may be some other kind of tour throughout the day. All 2 or 3 of those in each port are included in the price of your cruise. It's just you deciding what you want to do. Obviously, you can't do all 3, so you just pick which ones that you may want to do, and you just jump in and when you get on board, you let them know which ones you would like to do. And if you decide you don't want to do it, just let them know, and you can swap to another one. They have plenty of room on each of them. Also, AmaWaterways is more culinary focused. So when you're in Germany, you may have some German touches to your meal. When you're in Austria, you got the same thing. Italy, all these countries, they're making the menus based on the country you're in. So you're getting that full immersion with AmaWaterways. Also, they're very comfortable, welcoming ships. The pictures we were showing you of the rooms previously, those are from one of the AmaWaterways ships. So it gives you a good taste of what the rooms look like. Also, and this is our biggest acceptance of AmaWaterways, is their payment plan. Obviously, we booked our Christmas Market River Cruise for December 2027. That gives us over 2 years to pay off the cruise. As we've said several times, river cruise is a lot more expensive than an ocean cruise. This gives us the flexibility to budget and pay for this cruise over a couple of years. So it's something you can build up to and build excitement to. Not, hey, we want to go on a river cruise this Christmas. It wouldn't happen. In fact, we're working on with a client right now that wants to do a 2026 Christmas Market River Cruise. There may be a handful of them across all the suppliers left.
So I'm going to go back to just one thing on the AMA. As far as the payment goes, one benefit to AMA is that you don't have to have the cruise paid off, your final payment made for the cruise, until 90 days prior to your sail date. So that offer, because David mentioned, that offers you the benefit of being able to pay over time on your cruise. And I wanted to bring that up because the next cruise line that we're going to talk about, Viking, that is a difference with Viking. So I'm skipping ahead just a little bit, but just Viking is very different because final payment is due 90 days after you book. So if you are not sailing for another year, your cruise is going to be paid off for a year or more before you're actually going to travel. So that's definitely something to take into consideration, is that within 3 months of booking that trip, you will have to have the full trip paid off. Viking is probably the cruise line that everybody has heard of. They do a great job of marketing. You see their commercials everywhere. Viking is definitely a top-notch supplier. Their ships are very sleek, Scandinavian design, very consistent onboard experience. If you've been on one Viking ship, you're going to be very oriented and familiar with any Viking ship that you get on, they have a large fleet. They recently just christened their 100th ship. And so, I mean, they are definitely a top performer in this category. They include beer and wine with lunch and dinner. They offer usually one daily shore excursion. Usually that's the walking tour that we referred to earlier, and Wi-Fi is going to be included in your cruise fare. Your ships are going to be minimal, calm, clean, you're going to be very well taken care of, but some differences.
Avalon's cool feature is their rooms. All of their rooms are suites. So the price point for all your rooms are about the same with Avalon. The key difference with Avalon is that their beds face the balcony window. So when you wake up in the morning, pick your head up off the pillow, and you're cruising and not looking in someone else's room, you can look out over the water and see the castles and stuff passing if you're still cruising. Obviously, like we've mentioned a couple of times, make sure your blinds close when you go to sleep, because you might be already docked in port and you don't want to see what you may not want to see. But that is the key difference for Avalon, is their suite concept, and that their beds actually face the window for you. They also, like AmaWaterways, have a flexible payment plan where your final payment's not due until 90 days out from the sailing, and they only include one type of excursion, a walking tour, and then if you wanted an additional one, you would have to pay extra for the afternoon ones. But they are more of a modern, relaxed style cruise.
So the last one is Riverside Luxury Cruises, and they may be one that you've not heard of before. They're considered a newer cruise line to Europe. They took over the former Crystal River ships. They are very luxury focused, and so they're going to have gorgeous ships. They're going to have one of the highest staff to guest ratio out of all of the river cruise lines. They also, all of their rooms are suites, and so it's an all suite ship that you're going to be on. They really pride themselves on having upscale touches, very personalized service that you're going to get on these ships. Fewer guests because the rooms are larger, because they are all suites, and fine dining is going to be a focus on these vessels as well. So very good option for people who enjoy luxury travel, and that's something that's very important to them, and want to have just a truly once in a lifetime experience. Of course, that is going to come at a higher price point. So payment wise, you do have the option for flexible payment. So final payment is not due until 90 days before you travel, and their itineraries and their departure dates are somewhat limited because they are a fairly newer cruise line, and so they are still continuing to build their fleet, and as they do, then their number of sailings will increase over time.
A few insider tips as far as river cruises as we wrap up here. First thing is, pack lightly. You don't have to dress up. There's no formal evenings, formal nights on these cruises, so it's a very relaxed dress code. Also, arrive a day early, like you mostly do with most ocean cruises, but it's going to be much different environment, where with an ocean cruise, you have to wait to get on the ship, go through all this security, go get your bags checked and everything. With the river cruising, as you can see right here, this is a river cruise that's actually in port, taking on embarkation day, and you just walk on with your bags. You carry your bags on at the same time. You don't drop them off at a porter or anything. You carry your own bags on. They tell you what your you know what your room number is. They just give you your clearance to go to your room, and you go drop your bags off, and then you're on the ship. Then you can jump back off and go tour that particular town, because they typically will not leave until that night. Sometimes they'll even stay over. Most of these river cruises offer both a pre and post cruise excursion stayovers as well. Land packages, that's the word I was looking for. So if you come in a few days earlier, they will give you they'll include a hotel and include some excursions for you. And usually that's done with your cruise directors. It's going to be on your river cruise, so you get to know him before you even get on ship. Like we mentioned when we were talking about theme cruises, they will go out for they will sell out first. They're not the only cruises that river cruises have. There's many cruises that aren't themed cruises. But if you want to do a specific themed cruise, you'll want to book them well in advance. As we mentioned with our 27 Christmas Market River Cruise, we're already booking that. In fact, there's only 7 staterooms left on our ship for December of 27. So, like your Tulip season, your wine and beer season for 27, we're actively selling and booking that now. So, if you're interested, you need to be forward thinking on many of the theme cruises because they will sell out soon. And of course, one more thing we'll talk about there is expect the ship to dock side by side and to close those blinds, as we've warned you a couple of times.
So we want to talk a little bit about our 2027 Christmas Market Cruise that we're going on. So this is a hosted event. It's on a brand new ship to AmaWaterways called the Ama Sophia. And as David mentioned, we are sailing in December of 2027. We are going to sail the Rhine River from Basel, Switzerland to Amsterdam in the Netherlands for the Christmas market themed cruise. So we're going to visit places like Basel, Strasbourg, Cologne, Rudesheim, Heidelberg, and Amsterdam. And these are going to have multiple Christmas markets in some of these locations. It's going to be highly decorated, full of character, full of lots of festive activities to participate in.
If you want more information on that river cruise with us, like I said, there's only 7 rooms left. So if you want to join, they are going pretty quick. I hate to do the urgency sale, but this ship we figured it would be sold out by Christmas this year. So by New Year's, I got a feeling this cruise will be sold out. But GettingsTravel.com 2027 Christmas markets will give you a lot more information. We've been talking a lot here, actually a lot longer than we thought we would take. So we wanted to see if you had any questions that you might have for you. The floor is yours. Here's some memory joggers, cruise lines, over 50 lines, itinerary choices, stateroom choices, best seasons, planning considerations. You just let us know. Yes, thank you. So that is a concern with river cruising because a couple of things. If we have a drought, like Beth mentioned, if the ships don't have a large draft on them, so they don't need a lot of water to sail through, but they do obviously need water. So if a drought occurs, your ship may not be able to go as far as anticipated. Sometimes it will take you as far as it can. Say there's a section that's actually lower that it can't go through. You may get moved to another ship further down. So they would bus you over. It sounds very uncomfortable, but they actually make it very seamless. They put another ship in another area and bus you over to it. They'll bus all your room amenities and everything to the new ship. It'll be like a brand new ship, almost like going to another hotel. The same thing is true for waters that are too high, because there are a lot of bridges that these ships have to go under. As you see through the pictures, a lot of the ships are built exactly the same, just different aesthetics on them, because they have to go through locks, they have to go under bridges and stuff like that. And I don't know if you can see my mouse circling, but like the captain's booth up here on the top, it will actually lower down into the chassis of the river cruise, into the ship, so that it can go under certain bridges. But the same is true if the waters are too high and it can't pass under a next bridge. They may do the same thing for you and bus you to another ship that's waiting further down the river. And sometimes, unfortunately, if there's just not an option if it's a drought season and there's no other option, unfortunately, they will put you on buses, find hotels for you, and they do come up with all kind of alternatives for you. And usually, if it becomes like that, they give you another sailing, or at least a discount towards another sailing in the future. But they obviously it's in the contracts of all of them that this may occur. You just have to have that expectation that it may occur. Thanks for that question, Beth, though.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. This, like David mentioned earlier, this is our first attempt to do one of these virtual webinars. And so super excited to see what our next topic is going to be. If we can help you plan a river cruise or any other type of trip that you might be looking at, please visit our website at geddingstravel.com. You can select plan a trip or complimentary vacation consultation. We'll be happy to help you with that. We are very thankful for everyone that stuck with us tonight.